Everybody, it's Mrs. Bianchi. We're looking at number 6, and they're asking us to find the area, and we can see that we're dealing with a triangle. And the formula for a triangle is area equals half of the base times height. Remember, a triangle is really half of a square, rectangle, or a parallelogram. So first step is to find the base. And how do we do that? We look to see which line, which side of the triangle falls directly on the grid lines. And that would be this one right here. So let me put the blue highlight on that. This would be the base because it's the only one that falls on the grid lines. So let's count how long that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Substitute the number 7 in the formula. Let's move that out of the way. The base is 7. How do we determine the height? In class, we keep talking about how the height has to be perpendicular to the base. It has to form that 90-degree angle with the base. So this green line is perpendicular. See, if I move it along, anywhere along there, see how that's perpendicular? It forms that 90-degree angle. But how do I determine how long it needs to be? Well, find the vertex that's opposite or farthest away from what you're calling the base. And that vertex would be this right here. That's the vertex. And we would want to go from that point all the way to the base, even if it's outside the triangle. And if we count how many units long that is, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's substitute that number in. Now, we're dealing with two odd numbers here, and a lot of you have trouble taking half of odd numbers. So what I'm going to suggest is, what if we do this first? Because we can do that in our head. Let's do 7 times 11 first, which would give us 77. And let's take half of 77. Well, we still have a handful of people that don't know how to do that. So let's review. How do you do that? Remember, taking half of something is the same as dividing by 2, and that'll become more obvious why in just a moment, but some of you will be able to skip the step that I'm about to show you. If we stick a 1 underneath this and just do the standard algorithm for multiplying two fractions together, one way to do it is to just go across and do 1 times 77, which would be 77. And then we're going to write the fraction bar, which really means divide, by the way. And 2 times 1 would be equal to 2. How do we read what I have written here in blue? This reads as 77 divided by 2, or 77 halves, but it really means 77 divided by 2. So if we're going to do 77 and divide that by 2, and we have to do the standard algorithm for that, ask yourself, how many times does 2 go into 7? And I always recommend looking at the multiple choice here and see what numbers they suggest. So we should find what 2 times 7 is, 2 times 4, what 2 times 3, because those are all the first digits that we see there. So if we choose anything higher than a 3, then it's going to be more than 7, right? So let's choose the 3 as our first digit. So if we try that, 2 times 3 would give us a 6. We subtract, we get the 1 left over, and we got to bring down that 7. So 2 goes into 17. Is it 8 times? Let's test it out and see. We'll put the 8 here. 2 times 8 would give us 16. Subtract, and we get the 1 left over. Now at this point, we have some options. If they wanted this as a mixed number, we could take this 1 and stick it here, and take this 2 and put it right here, and it would be equal to 38.5. But that's not shown as a choice. Since it's not shown as a choice, let me move that out of the way. What we're going to do instead is we will add a decimal here and here and a 0, and we're going to keep going. So if we bring this 0 down, and now we're looking at, this is now a 10, right? 2 goes into 10 how many times, and wouldn't that be 5 times? And it works out evenly, and we get the remainder of a 0. So we call that a terminating decimal. Now, if we were going to use a calculator to do this, let's just talk about how we might do that. If we're going to use a calculator to simplify what I have here, the buttons that you press in the calculator, you put these in first. So 77 would go in first, and then the fraction bar means divide, and then we would hit the 2, and we would get the same thing that we got right here, the 38 and 5/10. All right, make sure you bubble it in carefully. And by the way, another reminder, before you hit the submit button, you want to review that your bullets that you actually selected as answers didn't change, because some people are reporting that if they roll their mouse over it, sometimes it changes your answer. So just review that one more time before you hit the submit button.